I want to start this video with an idea that has been bothering me for quite some time now. A friend once sent me a meme, a funny one. Months has passed and I still couldn't get it out of my head. Maybe this meme was about me. I've also been playing a very few video games lately. Maybe I'm the one who loves to watch how others play video games rather than play them myself. I should add a little context. I love video games. It's my favorite hobby and passion. Since I was a kid, I played a huge amount of PS1, PS2 and PSP games. Hundreds of them. You can say I was a hardcore Sony boy back then. But then, life happens. Because of family circumstances, I had no opportunity to play video games for a long time. Then finally, after saving up from my first job, I finally bought my first gaming laptop, Alienware with NVIDIA 660M graphic card and a 720p HD monitor. To say that I was happy is to say nothing. Finally, I had the opportunity to play in everything I wanted and follow it back then. It was 2023 and consoles of 8th generation were behind the corner. PS4 and Xbox One were about to be released with the newer graphics and technologies. But I didn't care at the time. I had a lot of games to play through. I had a big backlog of video games that I wanted to play. Life turned out in such a way that I didn't have the opportunity to buy a console or upgrade my computer for a long while. And on top of that, difficulties with the job, pandemic and crisis. The main thing is that I haven't had the opportunity to play PC or console games since around 2020. I had firmly decided that I would definitely buy a new PC, a desktop or a gaming laptop. It didn't matter, as long as I could play the long-awaited new games on it. Then, one day on Black Friday 2022, finally, I managed to buy a newer laptop. Dell G15 with 3050 Ti and 4GB of VRAM, a huge boost from previous 660M Alienware. It was perfect for me. As long as I could play Full HD 60 FPS, I'm more than happy. I'm starting buying all the games that I wanted to play for so long time. And eventually I had over 100 games in my library. Of course, I couldn't keep up with the rising amount of playable options. I noticed that I started playing less and less, but I continued watching more video games related content such as news, reviews, mechanic analysis, developing processes, etc. But why did this happen to me? Have I really lost the desire to play video games and I prefer now watch instead of participate in gaming personally? It must be stopped. I'm willing to find a solution. I must regain my gaming mojo and get back on conquering games with my massive desire to play them. After all, we're not getting any younger, and the number of games worth playing is growing every year. So what should I do? Where do I start? How do I start playing video games again? The best medicine is action. I decided to document my experience by recording my gameplays and walkthroughs, no commentary. So I have evidence of everything I'm talking about here on my channel, no bullshit, only true talk. I want to avoid routine open world games that last for over 100 hours, at least for now. Also, the games require a lot of grind, MOBA games, cyber sport games, friend slop games, a big no-no for me. No offense, but I wanted to play single player games only. I don't know where this journey will lead me, but personally I think it'll be fun. I'd like to not only complete the video games, but also form my personal opinion about them and record my thoughts. Maybe these videos will help someone to find a new game to play, or maybe you'll just watch them for fun. At first, I'm starting to play with little known indie games and then switch between long and short ones. The key is to play one game that you've picked and do not start another game until the current one is completed. A 100% completion is totally optional and I do not recommend doing that right now. It is always a good thing to return to the game that you liked and 100% it later. Do not search the internet for clues or walkthroughs, try minimizing the review watching about the game, just get the idea what genre and gameplay awaits you and start playing. The less spoilers you get, the better. Everything about how you play and progress in the game should be your personal achievement and must be experienced by none other than you. The key is to play until the end, until the credits roll. You started the game, you figured it out, you got better at it, and you saw the whole plot. and art style. You played it at your own pace. It is you that found that secret room hidden by developers or made a build that suits your personal playstyle, and at the end, after everything you've been through, you finally finish the game. Watching the credits, thinking about how so many people worked on it, each one has their own life and passion for video games. Sometimes it amazes me when there's not a lot of names in the credits and the game is done by a small group of people. Sometimes it takes years of developing, and understanding and knowing about it more makes you appreciate even more that you can experience and enjoy the art form we all call video games. Completing a video game from start to finish is very important. Our mind treats this like a personal achievement, and it pushes us to play other games where we can have newer experiences and get more achievements. I'd like to compare it, for example, like going to the movies alone. Try it yourself, going to a movie theater alone, without friends or family. Only you and a form of art that has been crafted with care and passion, and many hours, days, months invested into that movie, from the script writing to the actors who get in their roles to become believable story characters. A synergy between the actors, choreography, camera angles, music, sound effects, and costumes. You might be surprised, but watching a movie like that alone will give you a lot more complete, deeper, and meaningful experience. I noticed that this works in a similar way with video games. Of course, it doesn't mean that you have to stop completely from playing co-op or multiplayer games, but in my personal case, I had to do it to be able to play more and see more different games. Besides, I have a family and a full-time job to attend to. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. As a beginner YouTube channel, it will be a big help for me. Have you ever lost interest and desire to play video games? How did you overcome it? Feel free to share in the comments. I think it's a very interesting topic worth mentioning. I've completed around 25 games within 6 months, and I'd like to talk about them to capture my personal opinion and thoughts. Let's dive into them. Stay with me until the end of the video. I'll leave something interesting for you there. Far Lone Sails. This game was the first thing that inspired me to start playing and recording my walkthroughs. One evening I went to the Steam Discovery queue and scrolled through Steam recommendations. When I came across Far Lone Sails, after looking at the screenshots, I bought it without hesitation. I was intrigued by the design of a land ship and wanted to try the game as soon as possible. I wanted to recommend it to all my friends and everyone that I could reach. But knowing their gaming preferences, they would probably refuse to play it. But by sharing the walkthrough online, anyone looking for an interesting game could check it out on my channel. That's how the idea was born, to record a full walkthrough of the game without a commentary, so I could come back here at any time, relive it, and remember my feelings. Far Lone Sails is one of those games that needs to be experienced. This isn't about engaging gameplay, it's more about conveying emotions through visuals and narrative without a single word spoken. We control a large steam-powered machine called the Locomotive and set out on a journey through a world that has survived some kind of a global catastrophe. Our land ship becomes a sort of a home for the main character, and the more attached you become to this new home, the stronger the ending will affect you. The only way to move forward in the story is literally to move forward, from left to right. Along the way, we collect scraps and fuel to power our ship. We make sure the system doesn't overheat. If there's a tailwind, we raise the sail. Throughout the journey, we make forced stops to upgrade our locomotive. The desire to understand what happened to this world and to see what awaits us at the end keeps pulling you towards until the very end. I completed the game in 2 hours and it felt like watching an art house film. You can tell the developers put their soul into it. They did an incredible job. The atmosphere of crossing the desert at night or watching the sunrise against the backdrop of windmills, it's priceless. After a calm and peaceful game, I wanted to play something more action-packed. My choice was The Darkness 2. A long time ago I played the first game at friend's place on PS3, only about 30 minutes. Those memories of me playing the first game, that's what brought me here. On the internet it's common to compare the second part of Darkness to the first one. I'd like to talk about it as a completely separate game. In my opinion, the game does a great job of capturing a spirit of a dark comic books. You are the darkness. Ordinary enemies don't stand a chance against you. The way the first levels of the Darkness 2 plays out, it's silky smooth, and that's the main idea of the game. The enemies don't even realize what they're dealing with. But since this is a video game, I understand. The developers had to give us enemies who can actually fight back, suppressing our abilities with light and using special whips and shields. I enjoyed the upgrade system and hub areas, they give me a break between the levels, and the story also turned out to be engaging, at least for my taste. Some of the plot twists were even a bit surprising. However, after finishing a game, I was left with a certain feeling of incompleteness, as if developers didn't have enough time to fully finish the game, and the final levels were made in a hurry. But still, I would recommend playing this game. It can be completed in 2 or 3 evenings and doesn't demand too much from you. I'd love to see a remake of the Darkness series. Maybe in the future we'll get a better game about this universe. The Dome Keeper. Around the same time About 4 Lone Sales, I also set my sight on the Dome Keeper. The idea of this game is interesting and simple, but only at first glance. We land on an alien planet where we try to dig up an ancient artifact while defending ourselves from local monsters that attack our base in waves. The game is essentially divided into 2 phases: digging and searching for valuable ore to upgrade your defenses and attack, and then the second part, defending your base when the wave time has come. You keep digging deeper and deeper, gathering resources, spending them on upgrading your character and your defensive base, the Dome, doing all this until you find the main artifact and leave the planet. I did a relic hunt only across the different map sizes. I didn't touch the other modifiers. Since this is a roguelike style game, you can change your base defensive type and your main gadget, and as you complete successful runs, you unlock different modifiers and challenges that affect the game in different ways. I didn't think I would go for 100% completion, but the gameplay concept seemed unique and worth trying. I satisfied my curiosity, and maybe someday I'll come back for a couple more runs. To fully unlock the game's potential, be ready to spend at least 35 hours to explore all aspects of the Dome Keeper and complete all the challenges. And by the way, did someone mention digging? A game about digging a hole. A simple game in its concept, this game takes us back to the days when we were kids and dreamed about digging a cave in our parents' backyard and start living in it, or making a swimming pool, or digging a tunnel all the way to the Earth's core. Am I the only one here? Well, we dig down, search for precious stones and ores, sell it and upgrade our shovel, jetpack, energy reserves and backpack capacity. As developer said himself, this game costs the same as a cup of coffee, but is fun for longer and it's caffeine free. As you may have noticed from my gameplay video, I have a golden tools. It means I earned 100% achievements of the game, so in the walkthrough video, this isn't my first run. For the purpose of my channel, I completed the game once more and still had a lot of fun. After unlocking all the upgrades, I wish there will be more unlockables or achievements. Even though the game takes about an hour to complete, I genuinely want to support the developers. I'm really looking forward to seeing more games from this developer, or maybe this game getting a sequel in the future. It may not have been the first game about digging a tunnel in the backyard, but it definitely gave birth to many imitators. More on that later. Alice, The Madness Returns. Once upon a time, there were game developers whose names were widely known among all the gamers, true rock stars of the gaming industry. One of them is American MacG. There are already plenty of the videos about him online, so I'll skip many details and just say that he's known for his unusual approach to the game design, grotesque and unsettling, yet incredibly intriguing. In the year 2000, he created American MacG Alice, a dark and bloody reimagining of Lewis Carroll world, built on the engine of Quake 3 Arena, which is ID Tech 3. I played it a very long time ago, and 11 years later a sequel was released. It's surprising to me that I didn't get to play it earlier. The story continues. Alice once again falls into Wonderland, which is collapsing before our eyes. We grab a knife and a pepper grinder instead of a minigun in this game and set off on a journey. The game introduces a mechanic that allows Alice to shrink down at the press of a button. In this state, she can see hidden and invisible platforms, but she can't jump or attack enemies. In terms of the vibe of the game, enemy and level design, this game really reminds me the reboot of DmC Devil May Cry 2013. I enjoyed the combat dynamics, the difficulty level feels fair, the levels are fun to explore for secrets, and platforming is fun. The story personally gives me a sense of sadness. It feels like we're diving into the mind of a person who is both mad and deeply suffering, and the open ending hints at a possible continuation of Alice's journey. Even though I like the game, I wouldn't want to return to this world. It's just simply too grey, too sad, and too unsettling. Funny enough, when I was recording my playthrough of Alice, the game felt longer and bigger than it actually is. Before that, I had never recorded playthrough longer than a couple of hours. I decided to split it into the chapters and play through them slowly without rushing. After Alice's dark and gloomy world, I wanted something cute, peaceful and calm. Right around that time, Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Ring game, was just coming out. And yeah, they definitely overdid it with the long title name. We create our hobbit and head to Bywater, a quiet and peaceful hobbit settlement somewhere in the Shire. This game is exactly what you would expect from hobbit life. You meet your neighbors, grow on vegetables and fruits, learn new recipes and cook delicious meals. You go fishing and foraging in the forest, you can invite neighbors over for breakfast, lunch or dinner, you complete simple errands, and the main quest, which may sound simple at first, is to have Bywater officially recognized as a village. In the eyes of the hobbits, this is a true crusade. For example, everyone decided that they must hang a wolf's head at the entrance of the village, because it says so in the ancient books of the laws. But wait, first you need to find that book, then you have to figure it out how the wolves actually looks like, since no hobbit in the Shire has seen one in many years, and so on. It's a very cute and cozy game. You can decorate your personal home as much as the in-game editor allows it, and you can easily lose many hours doing just that. Every 2 in-game weeks, the season changes, from summer to autumn, from autumn to winter, and so on. In different seasons, you can grow specific fruits and vegetables, they grow differently too, and in the forest you'll also find different plants and berries depending on the time of the year. I didn't fully complete the game, but I played through 2 in-game weeks, about 8 hours of gameplay. Since the project is still fresh and no patches has been released yet, I decided to take a break and return to it later to see whether any changes are made. Maybe in a year or 2, but I'll be honest with you, I already missed Bywater. And as I set off to my next game, I noticed something. My desire to play new video games previously unseen was growing. I started paying attention to that exactly after this, the Hobbit game. Vladik Brutal. This game popped up in my recommendations several times. The message were basically, buddy, if you like playing Half-Life and you like boomer shooters, you'll enjoy this game too. And I was skeptical, but I decided to give it a try. We play as Vladislav, aka Vladik, a prisoner who is called to conduct a dangerous and potentially life-threatening experiment. The initial walk through the prison towards the laboratory and the experiment that goes wrong. Where have we seen this before? Well, I don't really know. We're surviving and trying to escape from here and overthrow the dictator who rules in this country, fighting off monsters, zombies, and sometimes the military. Yes, the low-budget nature of this game is obvious, and yes, you can see the repetition of assets in almost no plot. But at the same time, the level design is quite well done, and it was truly interesting to move through the changing levels. And there is the important part, this game was made by just one person, Vladislav Mesherekov. I'll be lying if I'd say I didn't enjoy it. In Vladik Brutal, the shooting feels surprisingly satisfying. The horror elements in the first couple hours of the game really affected me. They made me caution, listening carefully to every little sound. Oh man, those invisible monsters. The boss fights are fairly simple, but memorable, and there's also a pretty funny Slavic sense of humor throughout the game. As an Easter egg, in the menu you can even find the parody to Silent Hill, called Silent Ass. I really hope to see this project grow and to watch Vladislav develop further as a game creator. This is already his 15th game, and I'd love to see this concept evolve in his future projects. After a brutal shooter like that, I wanted to play something more easy and light, and the next 2 games were perfect for that. Don't mess with the bobber. I'll be honest right away, my wife recommended this game after she came across a funny short online, and when I heard the title I said say no more, I wanted to check that game all by myself without spoilers. The game completes faster than watching a B-movie, and for some people that's a downside, while for others it's a plus. I did get my share of enjoyment out of it, and I'll keep it in my collection to support the developer. Even though it's clearly a quickly made meme-style horror game, there's still a bit of staging and an idea behind it, about the importance of not being ignorant about the purity of nature. Friends, don't litter. And from one indie game to another. Tiny Bookshop. A game about owning a tiny mobile bookstore. Every day we choose a location in the town where we sell books. We meet local residents, recommend them something to read, and gradually start to understand the game's mechanics. Inside of the shop you can place accessories, decorations, and shelves. Each store's decoration influences how books of particular genre will sell. However, certain genres sell better in different parts of the city, while others are completely ignored. For example, it's easy to sell children's books near the beach, while near the university, books about facts, classics, and poetry are more popular. Unlike Tales of the Shire, this game uses a similar calendar system that works the way we're used to. The locals hold a flea market on Tuesdays, and Sundays there are discounts at the supermarkets, which attracts more potential customers, but you sell more books with a discount. Various activities take place in different parts of the city depending on the time, like a summer big bonfire on the beach or autumn Halloween celebration in towns with the cafes. There aren't many characters here, but depending on certain conditions, they give you quests. For example, sell books of specific genre in a particular location, and so on. Each of them has a small personal story arc. There's no strict days limit, and if you want, you can simply keep selling books wherever you like and pick your favorite city spot. However, closer to the end of my playthrough, I discovered that there is actually a kind of a main quest, optional though. I wouldn't spoil you what it's all about if you decide to play it yourself, but unfortunately I wasn't able to complete it. I set my own limit to me, one in-game year. I experienced all the seasons, and before I got too immersed so much that I might suddenly start to read real books, I moved quickly to the next game. Death's Door. After selling books at my tiny bookstore, I moved on into the unknown world of Death's Door. Here we play as a young, immortal Crow who arrives at the main office to work as a collector of souls. This is my first Metroidvania that I completed. This game is so well made. Every character's movements, attacks, and special moves feel so sound and pleasant, like a Swiss watch. Story-wise, the soul we are sent to collect is stolen by an old Crow, and we chase him to reclaim what we were assigned to retrieve. But after confronting him, we discover he's trying to open a great door using that soul. It turns out one soul isn't enough, so we set out to find other powerful souls. What lies behind that door? If you haven't played or watched it, I won't spoil it. It's better to experience it yourself. The visual style of levels is outstanding. I especially like that there's no minimap or world map in the game. It forces you not mindlessly move from point A to point B marked on the map, but to actually memorize the world and pay attention to what's happening in it. Thankfully the game isn't huge, and I managed to find most of the previously not accessible areas. I know I did not find everything, but I made a deal with myself not to 100% every game. I'll leave a slight feeling of incompleteness as a motivation to return later and get the achievement for completing all battles only using an umbrella. I really enjoyed that game and completed it with a great pleasure. I recommend it to everyone. Far Changing Tides. The 11th game, and I finally decided to complete the sequel to Far Lone Sails. This time it was Far Changing Tides. I intentionally didn't play the sequel earlier because I wanted to diversify my gaming experience at the beginning. I strongly recommend playing the first game before starting this one. The core idea is the same, but in different conditions. This time we control a giant steam-powered ship. At first it might seem like just a reskin of the original game, but that's not the case at all. There's much more depth in here, both literally and figuratively. Now we can dive underwater, transforming our vessel into a kind of steam submarine. The art and level design are just as strong as it was in the first game. If you already played the original and enjoyed it, then this one is an absolute must-play. Only then you can get the full picture of the Far world and truly understand the vision developers put into their story. At the end, after completing the game, I will say honestly I was deeply touched. I had a strong emotional experience in this game, and I wanted to lower the emotional level of the next game, and the Lumberjacked came my way. Lumberjacked. I'll be quick. Fuck this game, I hate it! Gris. Okay, let me explain. More or less, I knew what kind of game this would be and what to expect from it. We chop down trees, sell logs, upgrade strength, stamina in X, the throwing radius for tossing logs into the shop to sell them, and so on. Just like a game about digging a hole, right? Right? The fun and energetic Lumberjacked turned into hard labor after about 30 minutes of the game. And honestly, this is where I really wished the game had given me a minimap. I personally found it difficult to navigate. The walls and trees are identical, and there's nothing for the eye to catch on, except for the one pipe in a certain spot. A couple of landmarks placed here and there would definitely have been helpful, or the developers could just give us a minimap. Unlike a game about digging a hole, this isn't a game I'd want to replay, and yet I completed it with 2 different endings and got 100 of the achievements. I don't even know why. Maybe I just wanted to see with my own eyes what the game would offer in terms of 2 different endings. In the end, I felt disappointed. But hey, if a game provokes even negative emotions, that's not bad either. In any case, I finished it twice and hurried up to play something more thoughtful, interesting and meaningful. Gris. Gris has crossed my path more than once in the recommendations, playfully hinting that there was a treasure for my eyes buried here. The entire game is an interactive art, an expression of emotions through visual diversity, another story told without a single word spoken. Even without digging online into analysis of its deeper meaning, you can clearly see that this is a very personal interpretation of feelings represented in the form of a video game. If I had to describe Gris in simple terms, it's a fairly straightforward side-scrolling platformer with a small set of mechanics. It's easy and quick to complete, yet it still offers some interesting ideas for the platformer mechanics. Combined with the level design, the art direction, the music and the short cutscenes, it creates an experience unlike anything else. It's a story about a girl who travels through a grey, colorless inner world and gradually restoring its colors, painting the environment and bringing new combination of colors into her world. She is searching for her voice, or perhaps she never lost it. Maybe she's trying to find the courage and strength within herself to restore it. It's an excellent game for deep psychological analysis of symbolism and the heroine's inner struggles. At the same time, it may feel too simple and too abstract for the average player, but those who appreciate this kind of games will definitely be satisfied. I personally love unusual stories that tell a vivid picture without words and convey the narrative through art, level design, and player interactions. I'd really like to replay it on the big TV in a couple of years. After the calm and tenderness of Gris, and after finishing 3 relatively small games in a row, I finally felt ready for something larger and more diverse gameplay. Blood West. Simply put, Blood West is basically Deus Ex in the Wild West, with mysticism and the undead. A very engaging immersive sim. By killing enemies and completing quests, you gain experience and upgrade your skills. The game is divided into 3 acts, each taking about 5 hours to complete. The difficulty curve is handled very well. Tension is present throughout the entire game, and the game is fair to the player. If you play carelessly, you'll be sent back to respawn very quickly. In the first act, you treat every enemy with extreme caution. The stealth mechanic feels comfortable and mostly under the player's control. If you die, it's usually because you weren't paying attention and you were careless. That's why one day I would like to try beat it on hardcore difficulty with only 1 life. After saving up some ammo and money in the second act, I started playing more boldly and relying more on firearms. The first act feels more like a classic Wild West duels. In the second act, you face a larger number of enemies, and in the third act, just when you think you got used to everything and nothing can surprise you anymore, completely new enemy types appear, and you realize you're not prepared for them. The main story is there, and that's appreciated, but the side quests are really where the game truly shines. One of my favorites, and definitely the most memorable, is given by a talking head in the back room of the tavern. It asks you to kill the strongest enemy of the act Lumberjacked, the Yeti, with a knife while being drunk, or the moment when intoxicated you talk to a cactus that looks like a woman and hug it to prove that you're a real man and the cactus thanks you and you start bleeding. I definitely recommend this game. It has a strong replay potential, especially with one life challenge. Firewatch. After the cold and lifeless Blood West, I wanted to get away from all the noise and vanity, somewhere deep into the forest. A game I'd probably wanted to play from the very beginning, but decided to put it off for a bit and warm up with other games. And so here it is, the 15th game of my list, Firewatch. A long time ago, a friend of mine let me play the first 15 minutes of Firewatch on his computer. It was the first month the game came out, around that time. Since then, I've heard a lot about it here and there. If you're hearing about this game for the first time, oh, how I envy you. After finishing it, I wrote a sweet, sad, scary, and incredibly cozy story that you'll be completely immersed in. You just start to play it, and then you come to your senses 4 hours later, sitting there like a fool, smiling, looking at the credits and the photos you took while playing. So many thoughts and emotions after finishing this game. These were my initial emotions after I finished the game. And now, after thinking about it a bit, I'd like to add that the suspense it creates is something I've rarely seen anywhere else. It tells a very mature story, one that won't resonate with everyone. I'd suggest playing, or at least watching, the first 15 minutes of Firewatch. If you feel drawn in and genuinely want to know what happened next, play it, finish it. It's absolutely worth it. But if those first 15-20 minutes don't entertain or immerse you, then maybe wait a while, put it aside and return to it later. If I had played Firewatch when I was 15 years old, I'd probably would have been disappointed. I'm glad I was able to truly understand and feel the story it tells. I'm so happy I played this game, it was breathtaking. In some ways, I didn't even want this game to end, and perhaps the developers understood that feeling, because they allow you to freely explore the world after you complete the story. DmC Devil May Cry 2013. After the sensual and intriguing Firewatch, my hands were itching to play something less intellectual and more ass-kicking. And DmC Devil May Cry 2013 was perfect for that. At first I cringed a bit at characters' dialogues, but eventually I get used to it. After all, this game isn't really about the dialogues. Many people consider the existence of DmC 2013 to be a mistake. Nobody wanted to say goodbye to young and playful Dante from DmC 3 Dante's Awakening, and it's hard to argue with that. But years later, when DmC 5 was released in 2019, people started treating the reboot better. This game is no longer treated the beloved main universe. In many ways, thanks to DmC 2013, the Devil May Cry 5 ended up being extremely fan-friendly and it's considered by many to be ideal DmC. But what about the 2013 version? I'll speak for myself. I love the world concept, the combat mechanics and flow, and the level design. You can clearly see the references to the main DmC universe and the effort developers put into it. The energetic soundtrack by Noisia sets an excellent pace and creates exactly the right vibe. Of course, everyone will stick with their own opinion. I completed DmC 2013 with great enjoyment. Yes, I realized that sounds repetitive. Are there any games I finished without enjoying them? It just so happens that I chose games, played them, and genuinely enjoyed the process. I try to look for the positives in video games, and I avoid titles that I already know won't suit me. I want to improve my discipline in finishing games, completing one before starting another. Perfect games doesn't exist. Nitpicking and focusing only on flaws feels pointless to me. Why do we even play video games? For emotions, for enjoyment of the process, for the chance to be someone we could never be in real life. If you play video games just to pick them apart, you're either a YouTuber farming content or a video game journalist. But honestly, I'm glad this version of DmC remained a standalone experience. I'm a big fan of the original 5 games of Dante's Adventures. After finishing Devil May Cry 2013, I started craving something more grounded, something more human, maybe a solid survival game? The Long Dark. The Long Dark turns out to have a very dedicated fan base. I started my first run and died shamefully on the third day of survival. That sent me straight to YouTube to at least learn the basics needed to understand the game. After watching a couple of beginner guides, trying to avoid major spoilers, I realized I was playing open world survival mode. I thought it would be a great idea to aim for 50-day survival achievement, which only 7% of players have earned it. Even if I didn't fully beat the game, at least I'd gain meaningful experience and explore as much of the game world as I could. I had no idea what was waiting for me, so I chose a difficulty I could realistically handle. I wasn't ready to master survival mechanics at the level of the top players. After searching on Google, I picked the recommended beginner difficulty, Voyager, which says equal parts hunter and hunted, your struggle to survival will eventually lead you to mastering the elements. Exactly what I needed. I decided to survive for 50 days and travel as far as possible during that time. I started in Desolation Point, moved through Broken Railroad, and then attempted to reach Mountain Town. On the way, my 50-day survival mark was checked. The achievement was earned. After 17 hours, this is where my adventure has taken me, under a radio tower. And I feel proud of this adventure, especially because for the first time, someone left a comment under my video saying they enjoyed my playthrough and asking whenever I planned to continue playing The Long Dark. My save file is still there, right where I left off. Maybe one day I'll go back and try for 500 days achievement. It's completely doable, and in that time you could practically memorize the map. But I'd like to remind myself why I started this channel. To play as many interesting games as possible, of course. The Long Dark has a truly unique vibe. The feeling of loneliness is incredibly well conveyed. There isn't a single soul around. Everything feels abundant. There's only you, wild wolves, and bears, and the cold, of course. A brutal, relentless cold. Also, thirst and hunger are constant threats. If you're not careful, you can die at any moment. Every time you're inside of a house, you don't want to step outside, because outside is danger. But sooner or later you have to go. Supplies runs out, firewood runs out, you need to hunt, eat, repair your clothes, all just to survive. In 2026, Black Frost, The Long Dark 2 is set to release in early access, and I'll be more than happy to play it. The Lost Campfire. After surviving the harsh conditions of Canadian wilderness in the Long Dark, I wanted something relaxing, fairy tale-like, and peaceful. The Lost Campfire. Exactly what I need. We play as Ember, who has become separated from his group and is trying to find a way home to a last campfire. Along the journey, we encounter the forlorn, lost souls, and solve puzzles within their minds, reigniting the fire in their hearts and sending them straight to the main campfire in each area. The visual quality can easily be compared to a Pixar animated movie. The developers themselves said they were inspired by ABZU and Journey when creating the Lost Campfire. The puzzles are not overly complex, most of them are fairly straightforward, but you'll still need to use your brain a bit. As for the story and emotions, personally, the game didn't deeply resonate with me, but I still enjoyed playing it. Even though it's clearly an indie project, I still couldn't shake the feeling that it was too well crafted. Everything felt carefully assembled and polished, and later I find out my intuition was right. After finishing the game and checking the information about this game online, I discovered that it was developed by Hello Games, the creators of No Man's Sky. After working on such a complex and ambitious title, they wanted to create something less ambitious, something stress-free, cozy and beautiful. Bravo guys, I'd really love to see more indie projects from you. But after the announcement of Light No Fire, it seems Hello Games have chosen to move in the direction of co-op games. And after finishing another game, I decided to travel somewhere far away, where Lovecraftian horror meets fishing and exploring uncharted islands. DREDGE. We play as a fisherman in Lovecraftian setting. We arrive in the central town, where the mayor tells us that the previous fisherman disappeared under mysterious circumstances. He went into a mist at night and never has been seen after that. And we are here to take the place of the previous fisherman. We catch fish and sell them at the market. But there's a twist. The game setting is heavily inspired by the works of H.P. Lovecraft. A fully day and night cycle is implemented. During the day, everything feels calm and cozy, but at night, out in the open sea, our panic starts to rise, and little by little, we begin losing our sanity. There's something in the darkness, something that wants to catch us, confuse us, and prevent us from returning safely to the port. The mayor himself warns us not to sail at night and not to forget to sleep. Sleeping in this game helps to rewind the time until the morning and reduces panic. But at night you can catch different fish, more rare and more valuable ones. I very enjoyed the first 2/3 of the game, upgrading a boat, unlocking new engines, reaching new islands. That sense of progression feels great. The main story is fairly traditional for this kind of setting, mysterious and ominous. The atmosphere conveys the mood beautifully, but honestly, for me, the game felt too relaxing and pleasant. At night, the thrill of fishing actually increases, and by the second half of the game, I wasn't afraid to sail out at night anymore. Maybe I've started to get used to the madness as a player, or maybe the game simply doesn't punish failure harshly enough, so it stops being scary, though it remains interesting. The game still turned out to be very nice and engaging. The game is designed in a low poly style, but it can offer very pleasant views sometimes. I really enjoyed the sunset on the tropical island. Several DLCs were released. I'll take a break for now and maybe come back and play the DLCs when I feel like it. And continuing the mood swings, after the dark and gloomy setting, I moved to a bright and colorful underwater world. ABZU, my personal favorite. A game that through its visuals and music managed to deliver such powerful emotions. I'm absolutely amazed. Playing ABZU, it's like visiting an orchestral theatrical performance, accompanied by such enchanting visuals and riot of colors. If you ever want to explain someone that video games are not just simple pew-pew entertainment, but can be true art, show them this game. It's even better, because it's a game and it's interactive. Yes, there's a fairly simple narrative flow, but we are free to explore the environment however we wish, and the underwater world is absolutely enchanting. Once again, it's a story told without a single word. It kicked the crap out of me by the end. Play it on the biggest TV or monitor you can find. Use good headphones or a proper sound system. Set aside 2 hours and turn off your phone. I'm so sorry guys, I don't have enough words to convey the beauty and delight of this game. There's not much variety in terms of gameplay. We can swim and attach ourselves to fish, dolphins or even squids. In major locations we can find a stone shark statues, sit on them and meditate, either observing the underwater world around you freely or focus on the specific sea creatures nearby. The developers are former members of the team behind Journey, and their inspiration is clearly visible. I'll definitely play through Journey and share my impressions later. I highly recommend experiencing this game yourself. Shadow Warrior 2. After calm, cozy and colorful art games, I wanted to raise the action level, and my eyes landed on Shadow Warrior 2. I didn't expect my playthrough to take 19 hours. So far, it's the longest game I've played on this channel. How did this happen? Let me try to explain. It's basically a mix of Borderlands and Doom, and the main character feels like a Chinese version of Deadpool. The dick jokes, cartoonish nature of almost all the characters, and how they react to each other on the spot. What really surprises me was the scale and details of the locations. I'll be honest, the side quests completely pulled me in. I genuinely wanted to clear everything. Mowing down enemies was really fun and engaging, especially when I finally put together a truly satisfying build. The game does suffer from repetition, that is true. It's definitely not for everyone, but personally, I enjoyed this game. I got so absorbed in completing quests and challenges that I didn't even notice how I already hit 19 hours mark. Honestly, if I had started my journey with this game, I might have burned out. But because I had built momentum with smaller games first, I managed to get through Shadow Warrior 2 at a solid pace and without much struggle. After Shadow Warrior 2, the developers, Flying Wild Hog, released the sequel, Shadow Warrior 3, continuing the story. Since I'm already familiar with the characters, since I liked and enjoyed this game, I think finishing the third game is just a matter of time. I honestly think the music is the only thing lacking in this game. I think the soundtrack by a Wu-Tang Clan would have been a perfect fit for that, and it would push the game cool factor to the absolute maximum. After such a long project, only a few weeks remained before Christmas and Happy New Year. 2025 is coming to an end, and I still have 4 games left to reach my goal of 25 completed games this year. It would be nice, purely for symbolic reasons, to close that counter before the year ends. iDigging. Remembering my experience with the game about digging a hole, I decided to immediately try iDigging, but the game wouldn't launch. I tried to find a solution online but couldn't find it, and since I bought this game long time ago, I couldn't refund it anymore. So I forgot about it until the Halloween update, and suddenly, by a miracle, the game finally launched. The developers, Twen Games, created their own version of backyard treasure digging simulator. They added extra mechanics, and the ideas behind them are actually interesting, but something feels unfinished. For example, you have to watch out for a police officer to show up and quickly cover your digging site with fake grass. You need to chase away your neighbor when he peeks over the fence, or buy a dog to scare him off. Otherwise, the police will arrive sooner than expected. You can buy furniture and place it in your house to increase your wealth. It looks good on paper, but the policeman barely affects anything, so there's little point in chasing away the neighbor. Furniture doesn't provide any benefits and can't be interacted with. If you fall into a pit, you take no fall damage, and you can escape the cave with a single button press, instantly teleporting back to the house entrance. For some reason, spiders sometimes spawn in the cave, and in one of the mines I found an immortal pig that kills you in one hit. Despite its simplicity, the game about digging a hole actually appealed to me more than iDigging, precisely because it's focusing on the core idea. It doesn't distract you with unnecessary mechanics. Sometimes less is really better. Transistor. After digging in the dirt, I was ready to return to a glorious and truly great indie project. Transistor is one of the finest examples of what an indie game means. An experimental and unusual yet incredibly stylish setting, a non-trivial story, inventive gameplay, and a short length. These are the main reasons why you should play that type of games. For me, back in 2014, this game opened the door to an indie game genre. It felt like a sign of what was coming, the rise and explosion of indie game developers' popularity. Even though the game is short, the story tells it both unsettling and deeply engaging. Our sword, the Transistor, can absorb the personality of people, and we are free to use them however we like. Each personality we absorb, we can use as an ability. We can use it actively or combine it with another abilities, or use it as a passive bonus. The character design and the world itself are stunning. That blend of noir and cyberpunk, I had never seen anything like that before. The voice of our sword and the protagonist's beloved accompanies us throughout the entire journey, caring, protective, yet filled with sadness. I would love to see more stories from this world. The developers clearly put their soul and creativity into this project, and you can feel it. They managed to end the story on such a powerful note. And as we can see, things went very well for them afterward. Supergiant Games later released Hades, that was very well received. It will be interesting to compare their earlier work, Bastion, with Hades. Once I finish them, I'll share my thoughts and observations. SPRAWL. What happens if you take Quake, add parkour and place it in a cyberpunk settings inspired by Ghost of the Shell anime? You'll get SPRAWL. The references to anime Ghost in the Shell are especially noticeable in the first act, and when I stepped into the area for the first boss fight, I was already expecting to battle an invincible enemy. This is a non-typical boomer shooter with a parkour and a slow motion mechanic that highlights enemies' weak points. Personally, I felt the weapons lacked a bit of fire rate and overall polish of the game. I frequently ran into a bug where my weapon simply stopped firing even though I still had ammo. The soundtrack, while not very diverse, was very enjoyable. It sets the right pace. The difficulty curve is well designed. I enjoyed the first half of the game the most, especially the cyberpunk slippery streets flooded with the daylight. The atmosphere there was fantastic. Despite some rough edges, the game turned out to be energetic and engaging. The second part of the game changes the pace, with the exception of some arenas, and excessive parkour punishes you, while in the first part of the game it helps you and adding great dynamic. Just when I was about to say I'm really looking forward to their next work, they actually announced SPRAWL 0. Looking at the trailer, it looked like they worked on their weaknesses and cranked up both the speed and the gunfo aspects. A no-brainer wishlist and wait for the release. Viewfinder. I wanted to finish 2025 and set a checkpoint in 25 completed games, with something as creative and personally engaging as possible, and Viewfinder turns out to be the perfect game for that. After Portal 2 by Valve, this is one of the few puzzle games that comes close in terms of quality and narrative. And the plot here isn't just for the show, but carries an interesting story and message. The main focus of Viewfinder is of course the puzzles and the core mechanic of projecting photos from 2D to 3D world at any angle and in any direction. Later in the game we are allowed to take photos and use them to pass the puzzles. We are inside of a virtual reality simulation. We are not just solving puzzles for fun, we're searching for a way to save an ecologically devastated world. People haven't seen trees and plants in real life for a long time. That's why the simulation is designed to feel cozy and comforting, almost like a memory of what was lost. The puzzles are very creative. What's impressive is how, despite such a bold and unusual concept, the game rarely repeats itself. Here, creativity merges with art, and the game also reflects this idea. I finished the game fairly quickly, but the hype areas are a kind of places you want to return and just chill there for an hour or two. A beautiful, thoughtful way to close the year and to mark 25 games completed. And just like that, 5 months flew by. I feel better. I feel my gaming mojo coming back, if you know what I mean. By setting a goal and steadily moving toward it, I didn't even notice how many wonderful games I managed to complete. It's not enough to just make a wish list and buy games, you actually have to play those games. And if you have a big backlog of games, especially, through this video, you can see the path I've taken. And this isn't even the full list of games I want to play. The complete list is long, very long. Alternating genres and settings really helped keep things fresh, and the games were better remembered and imprinted in the memory. I didn't plan ahead, but acted on my own personal feelings at the time. For example, in the middle of playing Alice Madness Returns, I already knew I wanted to play the Tales of the Shire, and after the gentle Gris, I suddenly wanted an action game. Whether this method truly works in the long term, we'll find out later. So far, 25 games has been completed, my thoughts on them are recorded, notes left for future revisits. Let's see where this road takes me next. Thanks everyone for watching, and if you made it this far, I wanted to share something special with you. An idea. The very idea I started this video with, that I haven't fully revealed yet. It's overwhelming, and deserves attention of a lot of people in order to work correctly. We will be directly involved in it together. For now, just know this. You found something truly valuable. Together, we can change the stagnant world. For now, considering this a micro announcement of something I'm planning to reveal once my channel reaches 10,000 subscribers. Patience. I hope I'll be able to share everything with you soon. So, I'd be very grateful if you subscribe, like this video and leave a comment. This will not only help me, but will also bring closer the day when I can begin to implement my plans in life. See ya! And remember, games are meant to be played. Remember, when games were fun, well, they still are.